The sun apparently transits entire 360 degrees of the sky around the earth in 1 year. This happens because the earth rotates around the sun in a year, completing one full cycle. Likewise, the moon transits entire 360 degrees of the sky around the earth in about 28 days. But this happens because the moon also rotates around the earth in about 28 days. If we consider the sky to be an imaginary hollow sphere around us, taking the earth as the center, then this sphere is called celestial sphere. Our ancient Vedic developers of knowledge system divided the celestial sphere into 28 angular sections or belts of equal angular width. But later on, for some reason or other, they reduced the number of divisions to 27. So if each of these divisions span an angular width of 13 degree 20 minutes. These sections, divisions or belts are like the belts between consecutive longitudes of our Earth. Each of these sections contains its own fixed set of stars, excluding the sun, which is not fixed. From each set, at least one prominent or a group of prominent stars have been selected to represent the section. These sections or belts and their representative stars are called constellations, for which the Hindi word is nakshatra. Depending on their characteristic influences and behavior, each of these nakshatra or constellations has been given a name and a symbol or sign to denote it. Additionally, they are shown as having association with certain major deities. As our Earth rotates around the Sun, by it I mean the Sun, appears to transit across the constellations in succession, sequentially, and in 1 year comes back to the starting point. Similarly, other celestial bodies of our solar system, including the moon, the the entire set of 27 constellations in due course of time, only to repeat it again. Our moon does so in about 28 days. When a celestial body from our solar system begins to cross a constellation, as seen from the Earth, we say that the body enters that constellation. While it is transiting or crossing the constellation, we say that the body is in that constellation. When it is about to complete the transition, we say that it is leaving the constellation or moving out of the constellation. When it leaves the constellation, it enters next constellation in the sequence. In a cycle or on a cyclic path, every point can be seen as the starting point or the finishing point. Without a reference point, identifying and locating a particular point wouldn't be always easy. This absence of ordinal sequentiality, that is the absence of a point of reference in the cycle of constellations, can even cause difficulty in astrological calculations. So, to overcome this difficulty, one of the constellations named Ashwini is taken to be the first constellation, and starting from there, each constellation in the sequence has been assigned its corresponding ordinal number. Thus, after the last, that is the 27th constellation named Revati, we enter the first constellation, namely Ashwini again. There are very wise reasons for this constellation to be regarded as the first. It has been observed that the Sun, the Moon, and the planets of the solar system are very powerful, each especially in certain constellations. A very simple pattern is there. If one of these bodies of our solar system is very powerful in constellation number, say 1, then it is very powerful in the 9th and the 18th constellations from there. This means that the powerfulness of the celestial body increases in constellation number 10 and 19 as well. Similarly, if a planet is very influential in constellation number say 3, then its influence gets enhanced when it is in constellation number 12 and 21. And surprisingly, all the 9 planets get their turn and share of power, this kind of power enhancement. Noteworthy thing here is that in Vedic astrology, the moon and the sun are counted among the 9 planets, for which the Hindi term is Navgrah. The planet whose influence a constellation enhances most is said to be the ruling planet of the constellation or the lord of the constellation.